Stretch yourself. Stretch yourself. Stretch yourself.
Hey, how's it going, folks? Welcome to another episode of Stretch Yourself Podcast. It's your host, Jared Chandler. We got a great episode for you today. Not too much to get into today, folks. Please be sure to subscribe to the podcast. Follow Raspberry Cat Productions on YouTube and on Instagram. Not too much to talk about, I'm just plugging away. Getting things done. I got what am I doing? I'm doing 222 Brew next week on Thursday. It's the Thursday, March 27th. That show's on Arvada. I'm doing Jack's at 5 Parks in Aurora, I think. Maybe I got those switched up, but that's on Tuesday. And then Wednesday, I can't remember what I'm doing on Wednesday. Maybe I'm going out to Mike's or something like that. But folks, we got a great episode for you today. Our guest is he's a comedian. He's an author. He is a business owner, and just really plugging away. And he's just a lovely guy. We had a lovely conversation. He's been through a lot. He's seen a lot. So he had a lot of great insights for us on this episode today. So please help me welcome my friend and yours, Mr. Pat Truer.
Stretch yourself. Stretch yourself. Stretch yourself.
I'm going to turn us both up just a hair.
Oh, buddy, I like that. Nice reference, too, with us.
Yeah.
Long-haired fellas.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So here's the equipment failure.
Uh-huh.
My buddy, he is filming his special in Chicago at Zany's. I asked him if I can open for him.
Yeah.
With my new act with the board.
Sick.
And he says...
Shout him out.
Kelvin Evans.
Kelvin Evans, okay.
Yep. And... when I asked him, I said, "Hey man, I've got this act, I've got this board. Can I open for you? And so I can also get some tape too." And he said, "Absolutely, no problem."
Yeah.
And he's top notch. I didn't want to mess up, so I spent the next, let's call it 45 days, just absolutely entirely focused on like learning the ins and outs of the board. I didn't know what I was going to do when I asked him, but I knew I had to have something ready.
Okay.
Have a deadline.
Yeah.
All the details. I figured it all out.
You gave yourself that deadline, so it
so important.
Got your rear in gear.
I can't do it without it.
Yeah, totally.
I get
that. Sometimes you just gotta jump, and then you'll figure it out. If you don't have that pressure, then it's like, why make yourself do it?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, I'm not gonna do it, and then it's 2 years later, and I was like, I'm worthless.
Yeah. And I want to avoid that. So.
You don't want to hate yourself.
Yeah.
That's it. Because I'm good at it.
Right. Yeah. Totally.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
So I get it all. I figure it out.
Yeah.
I fly out to Chicago. It's one tape. I've got everything. I've got the board.
Oh,
and
man.
the key to the board is that because it's an external system, not the house system, is that I need to record the audio from the board directly.
Okay.
Right? So
Is this your first time doing it live?
doing it live with the camera rolling.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah, I had done it. Well, I had just Frankenstein an act.
Mm-hmm.
I had gone out, go to Irish Rover and do 3 minutes of okay, that works. That's all I needed. I pieced together a 30-minute act.
Wow. Okay.
And
Bit by bit.
Bit by bit. Took some existing bits I had, added the board has sound effects and all these different things I can do. Key thing is, though, record directly from the board.
Yes. Okay.
I get there to Zany's 2 hours early. I go through everything, set up perfect, wonderful, great. I have a checklist that says, make sure you hit record, Pat.
Yeah. On the board.
Yeah, on the board.
Otherwise, you will have no sound from the board.
Shows off.
Recording.
Shows off and running.
Yeah.
I get off. I'm happy with what I did. I'd spent almost 2 months working on this.
Yep.
I look at the board and I did not hit record.
Oh shit.
So yeah, it's those little details.
Yeah.
But the victory was realizing, I have a whole new act.
Yeah, totally.
So I didn't hate myself.
Yeah, you got something out of it.
Yes, but
Yeah.
it was fucking a nightmare.
I bet.
was like, normally if Pat of 6 months ago had gone through that, would have been entire self-destruction.
Because you feel more competent now?
I feel more competent, and I'm able to, after a lot of reflection from the book that I mentioned of my past 6 years, one recording doesn't make or break you.
Right.
It's okay.
Yeah, totally.
The bigger picture is I have a brand new act and a foundation to move forward that I can do hundreds of recordings on moving
Right.
forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I was in a hole. I needed to get that big project of the comics didn't work out, and I got real depressed and I felt worthless. And then that show and the new act and the board was like purpose in my life.
Wow.
again.
Gave you some juice.
Gave me the juice.
Yeah.
Gave me the juice.
Hell yeah. You needed a win, dude. and
Yeah.
You got one.
So it was like, oh, okay, just me not hitting record.
Yeah.
It was okay because I still got audio from the house system. It just
Okay.
wasn't as good.
I was going to ask that. Yeah, if you got it from the house.
Well, that would have been, maybe I wouldn't be giving this same rah-rah speech right now if that had happened.
Yeah. It's just silent. Like,
Charlie Chaplin
yeah.
with the
And
soundboard.
then you have to ADR the sounds
all
back
the
in.
sound effects.
Yeah. Go through and edit all of that.
It's just me pressing buttons and giving reactions.
Yeah.
It's avant-garde. Yeah.
So was that kind of like, were you just trying that because of this kind of slump that you felt like you were in, or like what motivated you to start doing that? Because you were telling me about it in our lease, and you were like, it was like 100+ hours just learning how to do it all, and that's a big commitment to start something.
Yeah. So I still have my corporate comedy business. During the pandemic, I got to work with all these incredible comedians, like including Morgan Jay, who just sold out back-to-back last night at the Paramount.
Damn.
I got to go hang out with him backstage. It was like an unreal world
Wow.
last night, and seeing what he's done. But we worked together a lot. He was on a lot of the corporate shows that I put on, and he he's goofy, but he's so brilliant. He knows how to use equipment,
Mm-hmm.
and he knows how. He's a musician. He knows how to integrate sound.
Very talented guy.
Super talented.
Yeah.
And I would watch him get on stage or on the virtual stage on Zoom.
Yeah.
And he would just hit music right away, and he'd like, oh, and he'd have voice effects, and it was like immediate. Like everyone on the
Whoa.
Zoom was immediately enraptured,
Yeah.
maybe, and engaged,
Yeah.
paid attention,
Yeah, absolutely.
laughing, and I was
Because
like,
normally on those Zoom shows, it's very awkward.
yeah,
Settling into
yeah,
especially with no music.
100%.
I mean, I'm sure that was a very good tool for him to, like, I would be enraptured for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And at the time, I remember asking him, "How did you deal with that?" And he goes, "Oh, and he sent me. I've got this board. It's like he has $500." And I thought, man, that's something I might like to learn how to do.
Sure.
But Morgan's on all our shows. He does it. I don't need to spend that money. And also, ultimately, I realized that was just an excuse on my part to not do something. I was like, "Oh, this person's doing it." And then I
Yeah.
watched him, and I watched all these other incredibly talented comedians who are, I had no business being on shows with. And everything they did that succeeded, that helped them succeed in what they do. And I was like, oh, how can I put that all together in something that's fun and engaging? And I would just think about it. And I've been trying to integrate a little bit of music into my act. I've been learning how to play the piano. I'm not there to be able to do it on stage. And I was like, And it was just like this idea in the back of my mind for a really long time.
Yeah.
And because I like a new challenge and figuring things out.
Yeah, totally.
And I like pressing buttons.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's fun to press buttons
Yeah,
and make
yeah.
sound effects. Yeah.
So I was just kind of lost. And one day I was in Best Buy and walking, and I saw the Rodecaster Duo soundboard.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, man, like, what's this? I start just pressing the buttons. Oh, I can load music on here. I think you've seen, I love engaging with the crowd. I know, like, okay, identifying what I am good at, and I can remember things. I've got a great memory, and people think it's really funny when I just repeat what they say, which was a lesson that Alonzo Bowden, I got to work with him with the business. He told me the key to crowd work is just listen and then repeat back what is said. That's so everybody can hear, and that's half the battle.
Wow.
And so
I guess so. Yeah.
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 Well, you also think about it because a lot of people can't hear what's being said.
True.
So
yeah.
that's a huge mistake that we all make early on is, oh, what do you do? And then no one hears
And
it.
then you just respond. Yeah.
And then no
But you
one
gotta
knows
repeat it.
what joke, you're
Right.
missing the setup of the joke. The setup is what that person said.
Okay.
And so I just followed his advice and I started doing that. But then I was like, oh, I can remember what people said at the start of a show. And then I can repeat it 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes later. in a slightly new context.
Yeah.
And people are like, ah,
Yeah.
and like, I don't think that's funny, but I think it's funny that people think it's funny.
Yeah.
So it like fuels me.
Sure.
I'm like, oh, that's just me being me. But with crowd work, I know it's very popular. Whatever your opinion is, I don't care. My opinion is that I enjoy it. It's stimulating, but
Yeah.
it's also like can be stagnant. But if you I've watched musical comedians like Morgan Jay and Anthony Kapfer is one who used to be in Denver and he's in Los Angeles now. They just play a little bit of music while a little like on their guitar.
Yeah.
And just having that disarms.
Dimitri Martin.
Yeah, Dimitri. Exactly.
Yeah.
Bo Burnham.
Bo Burnham.
Yeah.
Birbiglia did a little bit of guitar.
Buddy, you know.
Yeah. Who else? Zach Galifianakis on the piano.
Yeah.
There's another LA comic, or not LA, New York comic that uses the piano in his act too. I forget his name, but he was really funny. Yeah, it does disarm a lot, and it does help.
It helps
Like,
so much.
Yeah.
So I thought, oh, so there I was at Best Buy pressing buttons. Oh, I can load songs onto here. So if I'm going to be starting to do crowd work with people, I can just press this piano underlay, let's call it.
Yeah.
So it's just some slight background music.
Yeah.
And then I was preparing for that show at Zany's, and I'm like, well, I'm not a singer. I'm not ever going to think of myself as a singer, but I got a deep voice, and I can talk with rhythm.
You got a radio voice.
I got a radio voice.
Yeah.
Okay, so how would that sound? Okay, country music and jazz. I
Okay.
could just kind of talk with tempo.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, this idea started formulating of, oh, I can integrate all these pieces,
Yeah.
and then I can hit it of like a recap of the conversation with the music on, and it's like, hey,
So do you like put the mic up to someone and like get a voice thing and like loop it somehow?
that's what I'm working on now.
Okay.
Yeah, so what I've started to do now is just like learn the basics of the board, which was what I
Yes.
mentioned to you took over a month. One, how do I make it portable, which you saw. I have
Yeah.
a little tray. I figured out, I was like at Guitar Center asking the guys questions,
Yeah.
doing research online. I'm not a technical guy.
That's one of the best parts of like stores still is that like you can go and ask somebody who's like supposedly an expert in something and just grill them, just like give me all the information you know about this, and they're just like, oh gee. Like,
And I love Guitar Center. I love Guitar Center
Yeah.
for two reasons. Number one, they judge you.
yeah,
But as soon as you show that you really care
yeah,
what you are trying to find out, they will give you as much of their time as is needed in like in and out. And you say, hey, here's my problem.
Yeah.
This is what I'm trying to do. And they'll be like, oh, you could try this, and this. They're not pushing you to buy something at the store. They are truly helping you.
yeah,
Yeah. And they're nice when you mess things up. For example, I got to a point where I was experiencing a lot of that terrible feedback.
when you plug it in.
Because I didn't understand. I didn't know that when you walk in front of a speaker with the microphone really close pointed at the mic, you get that
Oh,
awful.
yeah.
And I did that on a very big scale in Guitar Center. And the whole store was like,
Yeah.
because I had done it at a show. I
Dang,
was
so
like,
you had a hot mic at Guitar Center?
Yeah.
They're like, oh yeah, let's do it now. Let's set it up.
yeah.
What are you working on? Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I did. Well, I mean, I bring the setup in. I was like, hey, guys, can you help
okay.
me out with this? And they're kind
Interesting.
of like, sure. But I was like, but this is what's going on, and this and this. And I found I just would talk really
Wow.
fast and be like, hey, but I really want to do this. Can
Sure.
you guys help me? And they're like, sure.
Yeah.
And then all eyes on the store
Yeah.
shot over to me when it.
Now, were you a big audio and visual person before? Like, did you have a lot of technical skills before, or was this like all pretty new to you?
It was all pretty new. The basics were just from running a comedy show in the back room of a bar when I lived in Chicago.
Okay.
And I was the only person, so I had to know the basics of the soundboard.
Yeah.
And so I had that knowledge, and then we filmed the comic series, and I had a little bit more knowledge of it, which I had to learn for editing when I was learning how to edit. Okay, sound is an enormously important part. If this is going to be my livelihood and I'm going to walk into places where I'm going to have some, I need to learn how to do this.
And arguably the trickiest and hardest part.
Ah.
Like out of everything like that like I'm playing with right now, like audio is always the trickiest.
Yeah.
Like the hardest thing to figure out. Because like it's also hard to gauge like what sounds good and passable and what's like not acceptable. Like, because you sit with a recording for so long, just messing with levels and stuff, and you're just like, I don't know, like, is it good enough? Like, I've been listening to the same like show or whatever, like
It's
over
like
and
you
over
become tone
again.
deaf.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I just kind of have to walk away from it for a sec. But I struggle with that with Stella's a lot because I'll set up like, I was telling you the mic and then the condenser in the crowd and then the shotgun, and so I'll try to mix all that together, and then it's very echoey in there, like, and it's like hard to gauge, like it's hard to get a good balance of both, like good balance of the performer on stage and the laughs, and have it not be too like echoey or like, and you don't want to add too many effects or else it sounds really muffled or weird or whatever. Yeah, the whole thing is just like
Because there's the recording part, which is its own beast.
Yeah.
And then there's essentially the comb through, which is not the technical term, but then
The comb
going
through,
through and getting it and I've just had to rely on people. During the process of figuring out the board, I would reach out to Aaron Benjamin
Oh yeah.
a lot because he's a genius when it comes to audio engineering. And then when I recorded my special, I got lucky to get connected to an audio engineer up in the mountains who would just do shows, music shows. And then I asked him, hey, I have this for comedy. He's like, I've never done comedy, but it's only 2 inputs. It's the audience mic and my mic. He's like, yeah, I can figure that out.
Yeah.
And I would ask him, how are you doing this? Can you explain this to me like I'm 5? It's my favorite line. Can
Yeah.
you explain this to me like I'm 5 years old?
Yeah.
I just need the most basic understanding here. And then like a ton of YouTube videos to try and figure things out.
Yep. Studying up.
Yeah.
And watching the YouTube. And sometimes YouTube's really easy. And like, I use it a lot I Google a lot of editing questions. Like when I'm in the middle of editing something, I'm like, how do I do this again? Like usually I can get a pretty fast answer for the level of the thing that I'm doing. Sometimes it's a more complicated answer, and I'm just like, all right, fuck it then. Like, I'm not even gonna try.
That's the right call.
Yeah, it's like skipping a question on a test and coming back to it later.
Fill in C.
Yeah, or just guess, just like whatever. Like,
yeah, man. Well, and like when you're searching, when you're in these pursuits. So like I spend a lot of time with sound and Premiere Pro, and it's like, just like learning the language of that world is so important because you'll spend 8 hours looking for what you're trying to find in your mind of what it should be called.
Yeah.
And you won't find one thing, and then all of a sudden, at the 7 hours and 45 minutes into your research,
yes,
when you've already maybe your knuckles are bloody from slamming the desk, whatever. That's not me, no way. And then you see one video that mentions one word. And then you type in
like,
how to do this one word, and all of a sudden, all the videos
Boom.
you were looking for are right
You unlocked
there.
it. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
That's wild. So, you recorded a special. When was that?
So the first special for me was in September of 2024.
Okay.
And I had filmed of the comics, which I've referenced, which was all the money taken from the business, and then filming the 7 professional series with Morgan J, with Alonzo Bowden, with all these incredible, talented comedians. And that failed, right? I dedicated 3 years and all the money I made from the business into that. That tanked. Along the way, I was thinking, I know how to film a comedy special now.
Yeah.
I just needed a videographer, a sound person,
right,
and an audience.
Yeah.
And that's it.
I guess that's so.
It, right. And then because I had learned how to edit, I can edit it myself, so I can just tell the videographer, hey, I just need you to load the sound from the sound guy, give me the files, and I can take it from there.
Oh, wow.
And so I was like, why am I not filming a special? I know how to do it all. So I did the first one. I let it sit for a while because I was just scared. And so I really didn't do anything with it for a long time. I just didn't edit it.
Yeah. What is that moment, like that in-between space, like when something is ready to be edited or ready to be showcased in some way?
Fear.
Yeah. Like,
for me.
Yeah. Because like, it's almost like in school or whatever, like when you had to like finish a paper and you're just like, all I got to do is just sit down and do it.
Yeah.
Like, why is it so hard to just get over that and just get it done and put it out there? You know?
Well, and then you add with what we do. We're putting it out for the whole world to judge us. Mm-hmm. We're putting it out there in a world that exists where trolling and terrible comments are encouraged.
Or silence and zero feedback. That's the worst. That's
Oh.
worse, arguably, than
Yeah.
someone trolling, because it's like someone trolling is like, well, at least people are seeing it.
Right,
At least I'm getting traction here.
Yeah.
And
At least they're seeing it.
yeah, at least there's like some sort of stimulation for what this is. Like if I get a clip, like because I've only gotten like I don't post like as much as I want to, but occasionally someone will comment something rude, and I'm just like, okay, well. At least someone felt compelled enough to say something,
Yeah.
It
all helps.
Yeah, it all helps. Yeah.
It all helps. As long I got lucky because during the comics, we had a comic who had a joke that went globally viral and got death threats, and we got threats, and it was the 2 days or 3 days before.
Your business that recorded somebody?
Yeah, so we had the comic series. We had two set at Infinite Monkey Theorem here in Denver.
Oh, wow.
And everything was set, and then like 3 days before taping that happened, and it was crazy.
That's crazy.
Oh yeah, it was like overwhelming, and I crumbled because I was responsible for everything.
Right.
And like she got a lot of death threats, and then we got threats. Like my wife was working
for
with
a
me
joke?
For one joke. Yeah, and
on a clip,
the other performers on the show were being harassed as well.
What?
Yeah, it was crazy. Oh, these people like. Trolled the Comedy Sellers website. Got like essentially a hacker like shut it down. It was on the BBC, the New York Times. It was there was protests outside of the U.S. Embassy in Malaysia, and then we have a show like a few days later, and so I was responsible for everybody. I was responsible for all of it. It was the audience, the performers, everything, and we were getting all these threats, and I just like this monster grew and grew. Every threat, every trolling post. And I ended up hiring armed guards and for the show because I was like, oh, I am responsible. And we sent a message to all the ticket holders saying, hey, this is what's going on. If you want a refund, you can take it, no problem. No one canceled. And so we went through with the show. Everything was fine. And the point of me saying that is that because I went through that, I learned, oh, that's just a part of this now. Like that's going to be a part of it. And when I talked to her about it, who told the joke, she was a regular at the Comedy Cellar, surrounded by other greats who got death threats all the time. And they're like, oh yeah, this happens a lot. And so it's easy to get distracted by that. And I broke down. I had a nervous breakdown.
Yeah.
And I wasn't even the person getting the death threats. I was getting just threats of people coming to cause problems at our show.
Yeah. No, I don't blame you.
But like at the other side, I was like, oh, nothing happened. Like, oh, these are just people who who are angry, who need to get something. Like a bit of compassion actually came into play with me of like, oh, they just, whatever their life circumstances are, this is their avenue.
Dude, you got to be in a bad place to want to do that online.
100%. Yeah.
Because like I've felt the impulse to argue with people online, and then and sometimes I'll fantasize about it. I'm like, I'll be like, man, I could just like, I'm reading something, and I think about what I want to say, but then I don't because I'm like, that's not good for anybody because then they're gonna respond, and now I'm stuck in this like thing, and it's like publicly not good for me either to be engaged in that, and so I just don't. But like that, I feel like that. Sort of cloud kind of looming when I think about like getting involved in that, or when I read stuff like that, when I read, especially like in the last couple of months, just online has just been like this like gloomy place to be because like especially like on text platforms like Facebook and like where there's so many people just posting about everything that's going wrong, and then it's just like I just gotta get away, dude. Like I can't.
Feels great.
Yeah, so I can understand like. It can, those people probably are needing something that like whatever brought them to say those things online. Like it's not great.
Yeah, it's so when I put mine out, clips from my special, I did get some. I have bits on Planned Parenthood and Plan B, and I would get this incredibly aggressive like Jesus will judge you on your final day. He will come and it'll be your final reckoning.
Wow.
And I did reply to one saying like, yeah, but didn't his dad kill him twice?
Right. Yeah.
And like that was just deeply satisfying for me.
Yeah.
But I was
sometimes
able to.
There's just an easy swing. Like,
yeah. Oh, this was fun.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, people are going to do that, and it only helps get the content out there. And it's just like this important lesson that I learned from. But because I had this very extreme situation that I was a part of, that I was able to be like, okay, I don't need to pay attention to that. I can just let that ride.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that I just need to focus on, because this is going to happen no matter what. So if I just focus on what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, it's hard to. That's kind of my mentality that I've been trying to adopt too. Is just like, because I get to the point of like that moment before you're about to release a special or a clip or something, and I'm like, I'll make a clip or something, and I'll soft launch it on TikTok first,
Sure,
before I launch it on Instagram sometimes, because I don't know why, I'm just like, I'm more nervous about clips tanking and then just having like a bunch of clips with like 0 views than like it blowing up and getting like backlash. But I also haven't experienced backlash, so I don't know. But I'm trying to get more in the habit of just making it routine, and just like, this is just part of the gig, and like, it's just a homework assignment. It's just a box I gotta check. So let's not put too much emotional stake in it. Let's just like get it done.
It's a box to check.
Yeah.
Get it done, get it out there. Going back to what we're talking about of why does it sit in this space, this purgatory?
Yeah.
Okay, the longer it's in purgatory, the less chances it has of gaining any traction. Especially because YouTube is it's called like evergreen. It means like you can have a video from 3 years ago take off now or in a couple years, whereas like Instagram is pretty much right now, or like what happens within the first couple weeks. And what you just said about TikTok, I just saw an interview with an influencer that said, use TikTok to experiment, and if anything goes through there, because it does not punish you for having similar or the same videos, use that, and if that works, then take that and put it on Instagram.
Yeah, totally. That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense a lot. That's what I do. I just like, because I feel like TikTok is very low stakes for me. Like, I have hardly any followers on it, and like, there's only to go up from TikTok. You know what I mean?
It's all low stakes.
It's all low. Yeah, I mean, I guess technically it is. It doesn't always feel like it though, because it's like, man, like I've had the same Instagram account for the 12 years I've had it, and I've like scratched and clawed to get to my 1,700 followers.
Right. Yeah.
And so it's like, I don't want to jeopardize that or lose people over. And it's also because like, I've come from, kind of different worlds where like, I was raised in a religious house, and like I have friends from that still. And then the comedy world is very different. So like, and I need to be free to explore who I want to be on stage.
Yeah.
So then when it comes to the posting space, where it's like, I feel more free to like take risks on stage in a live setting than I do to like take risks posting online, because it's like, oh, these people are going to see it. And what are they going to think about that? Because like, 10 years ago, me would never tell this joke, but like today I am.
Yeah.
So
we have a natural fear of being pushed out by the communities that were or are a part of.
Yeah.
And it's a big fear. I had that a lot, just because it took me going through the comics process. I was constantly terrified of, my friends are going to say, what is Pat doing? He's such an idiot. Oh, wow. Can you believe what he did?
Yeah.
How could he do?
Going for his dreams.
Going for his dream.
How dare he?
How could he think that was going to work? What an idiot. And I had that was a legitimate fear.
Yeah.
And then when people are really close to you, family, for example, my mom does not particularly enjoy my stand-up. She doesn't.
Yeah.
And so, but she'll sporadically watch it, and I won't know when she watches it. And so, like a couple weeks ago, I went home, and she goes, "Oh, so I see you're still into telling jokes about erotic asphyxiation."
Nice.
Oh, yeah?
I haven't met your mom, but that seems like a spot-on impression.
It's haunting.
That's just so funny, like like a mom saying the words erotic asphyxiation.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, it's kind of my thing.
My response was, "Oh, you've been watching my stand-up."
Yeah. Oh, wow. Thanks. Thanks for watching.
Yeah. How are we doing? All the equipment
No,
working?
yeah, we're doing good. Yeah. I'm just checking our time here and
Okay.
making sure everything's still running smooth.
Oh, buddy.
Yep.
Sounds great. This is great studio you
Thanks.
got
Yeah.
here, buddy.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's coming along together. Got
I like the
got the
promo
branded
and the
mugs.
merch. Yeah.
Yeah. The new mugs. Hell yeah. It's good stuff.
Cheers.
Hey, cheers. Yeah, thanks for being on it, man.
Absolutely.
So what was like some of like sounds like you balance your personal life and work with comedy a lot. Like what's that about? What's that like?
That has recently changed to where I am at a point of this is all I want
Yeah.
in life, to create and stand up. And as a result, I have very much gotten away from a lot of the communities that I've been a part of and the people that I've had in my life. And because yeah, it's hard, honestly.
Yeah.
It's very hard because I don't really find a lot of interest in hanging out with a lot of the people that I've spent decades with. And we can get together and we can hang out once every 6 months
Yeah.
and catch up. Beyond that, like I want to come home. I want to go out, do stand up at night. I want to come home and write, watch a documentary, read, just anything to feed my mind. And it's been challenging. Like I'm married, and she's been nothing but supportive. But it's hard because I really, just the way I operate, I can hang out by myself for days on end and then go out at night and do stand up, and like
Sure.
that's all the social interaction I need.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I get that for sure. It's tough to. That's why I ask, because like, I feel like that's a kind of a choice that we all have to make as stand-ups, is like, and balancing that
Yeah.
is tough. So like, yeah, like how do you how do you work with that?
Right now, my mindset is I have to make this work because of where I'm at, and I'm willing to.
Do you have a day job?
No, I'm off savings right now.
You're full time.
Yeah, full time.
You got to
This
get
is
it. You burned the boats.
Right? Yeah. No, I had the job. Right. I had the corporate
Sure.
career. I left that. I had money that I had from that, and then I started the corporate business, and that went great. The corporate comedy business, that
Yeah.
went great. But then all the money I made from that, I put back in. So essentially, like, I started at square one
Yeah.
at 36. Went through that whole thing. The business made an incredible amount of money that I didn't see coming.
Wow.
And I was able to pay comedians really well, because I hate that comedians don't get paid well. The hardest
Unfortunately.
working people, and
Yeah.
people take advantage of that. But that's another 8 hours.
Yeah, we can get into that in a little bit. Yeah.
So I thought that of the comics, the series was going to be the jumping board, the diving board, to the next thing, the level up, to be able to make a bunch for everybody involved. But it didn't. It didn't make 1 cent. And I even used some of my personal
This is the
safety.
Comedy Collective
Yeah.
special.
Yeah.
The one that got all the
7.
death threats.
Yep. Yeah.
And it
yeah.
didn't succeed, even with
Correct.
all of that
Correct.
hype around it and the people coming out to the shows.
Yeah, I made a lot of bad decisions.
So did they sell out, like, the shows, or like did you make money from them?
No money from the shows. So we filmed 7 total. 2 here in Denver, 4 in Los Angeles, and 1 in Chicago.
That's
and
a big project.
Yeah, it was massive. It was massive. And we flew people in from all over.
This is 2024?
This was 2024. What is it right now?
It's 2025.
It's 2020. It was really 2022 through. I mean, I'm still dealing with it right now.
Okay, yeah.
Of,
So it's
like,
been
editing.
a long process.
Yeah.
Okay,
And I had to
wow.
I've had to basically let go of it. And
Wow.
But that was good. Yeah. I didn't make money off of the actual shows because I was so desperate to get comedy clubs to say yes that the deal I offered them was, because they didn't know me at all. I had zero
I see.
relationship with them.
Uh-huh.
I said, hey, I will bring in incredible lineups of comedians. I will pay them, and you can keep 100% of the ticket sales and 100% of food and beverage sales.
Oof.
Because when you film a comedy special, the best supporting actor is the audience.
Yes.
So I said, but I need you to do your normal marketing. And I need it to be a Friday or Saturday night. So that's a big commitment.
It's a big ask.
Right, yeah. And it helped, like in Los Angeles, we had Alonzo Bowden, who can sell out on his own. We had Morgan Jay. We had Chris Turner. We had Calvin. We had Darius Bennett. We had all these monster names.
Yeah.
So they said yes, but I put so much into it. I was like, I need them to just say yes. And I don't like negotiating. I just want to be like, hey, this is going to be yes or no, because I need to know. And then I
Yeah.
want to move on.
Yeah.
Which is a bit of a downfall. And then, yeah, I tried to sell it, but people said no. I had a couple people that worked in various streaming platforms and agents, and they all said, oh, because a lot of the episodes were clean. And they said, oh, no, clean doesn't sell. We need dirty. So then we made some dirty episodes. And they're like, hey, nice idea, but no thanks. And right, because it's just the concept of multiple comedians getting up, doing short sets for the first half of the show. Second half of the show, they all get on stage together, and they just have like a group roundtable.
Oh, okay.
That's live. So it's like stand-up comedy plus podcast all in one.
Okay.
And there's fun episode themes, and there's, let's just say, themes that matter. So we had two. They're called My African American Experience, right? It's an all-black lineup. We had the episodes in Denver were 70 cents on the dollar, all women lineup. And then we had the music and comedy because we had Morgan J., we had Armando Anto, the master violinist, we had Chris Turner, a British freestyling rapper who's a regular at the Cellar. And I thought, oh, that would be really cool to have the three of them perform together. I'd never really enjoyed musical comedy all that much until I started working with those three.
Okay.
And I thought, oh, man, what could we do if all three of those guys were on stage together and then
Yeah.
perform something? And
Yeah.
so cool. Like at the end of the show, after the round table, they got on stage. Morgan wrote a baseline chorus, let's say, just
Okay.
kind of structure
Yeah.
into the show song. Armando came on, played background. I don't want to say background. I don't want to discredit. Armando came on, played violin.
Sure.
And then Chris Turner came up and got suggestions from the audience and then did a freestyle rap on the suggestions over Morgan singing chorus with his guitar and Armando playing violin.
Wow.
It was just super cool.
Yeah.
And so that was great. And then the pilot was in Zany's Chicago. And that was just like, oh, this is a concept that shows what future episodes are going to be like. It was I was the only
Yeah.
straight white guy on the lineup. And other than that, we talk about mental health, sexuality, leaving comfort to pursue your dream, being a parent. All these topics are like condensed into 20 minutes of stand-up
Wow.
between six. There were six of us. And it was like, oh, and then the roundtable discussion was, well, how did you start in comedy? What was a time that you bombed?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh, the pilot really was like, oh, this is what it's like.
Yeah.
This is
it's a template.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I was like, to me, it's like, oh, this is everyone. If in my mind I was going to have the series that was like 10 seasons and on Apple and
Yeah. Of course, you gotta.
I was
You gotta
gonna
dream big.
Gotta.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, and people are going to go back and they're going to watch the pilot. And they're
Yeah.
like, wow, it was right there the whole time.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. And but nobody bought it. And then I was like, no, like, fuck you. I'm going to show you it works.
Yeah.
And I think I was just saying fuck you to myself. And I was like, oh, I have money to do this, and I have the know-how. My buddy James Webb, he's Sam Morrill's camera guy. He's filmed massive specials on almost all streaming platforms. I met him because
James Webb,
Yeah,
the telescope guy.
the telescope guy. Yeah, he's getting into comedy. It's out of this world.
Yeah. You won't believe it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I called James. I said, hey, man, I want to film these episodes. Are you in? And he gave me some dates that worked. And then I thought, oh, like, who are our two biggest performers? Alonzo and Morgan, who I keep referencing.
Mm-hmm.
They said, hey, these are the dates that we can do because I wanted to plan out. They said, hey, and it was Morgan could do a Friday and Alonzo could do a Saturday.
Perfect.
I go, great, please hold. And then, okay, it's My African American Experience. That would not be appropriate for me to be the sole producer on that.
Mm-hmm.
So this very wonderful and talented comedian, Angel Gaines, asked her if she could help be the co-producer and host of the show. And then I called everybody else that I thought would be great. Kelvin Evans, who I went out to do opening for his special.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like a just very gratifying feeling. Everyone said yes because we had such positive experiences because I treated them right and I paid them well.
Yeah.
And I was honest with them.
Yeah.
And I had some integrity.
Absolutely.
And they all said, and it was cool because I called everyone and everyone was, yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, Pat, that sounds
That's
great.
what you want. Yeah.
Yeah, we flew in people from all over the country.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and so we filmed those, and then as we were filming the My African American Experience, someone from the audience asked, we also had Janae Burris on that lineup,
Awesome.
and someone asked, hey, is it hard to be a woman in comedy? And Janae and Angel said, yes, it is. And Janae said something to the effect of, what you can do, what I really appreciate about her is she said, these are actionable items you can do to support women in comedy.
yeah.
You can ask for them, go buy tickets to see them. And I had been floating the idea of doing an all-women cast, and I thought, why am I not? And I'd been looking in New York, trying to find a venue. And then when Janae said that, I just thought, oh, why am I not doing it in Denver?
Yeah.
Why am I not doing it in my hometown?
Mm-hmm.
And so then after the show, I asked Janae if she would be interested in working together as the co-producer and host. And then we made those episodes. And then, I don't know. I entered them into a bunch of competitions, and like we won all these awards, which were scams, basically. I didn't know that.
The award shows?
Oh, you can submit to so many different festivals.
Yeah.
And then the promise is, hey, this is going to get you're going to get your show sold and seen and all this, but most of them are just money-making things.
Yeah,
You can make your
own.
own.
You got to pay to apply, right?
Yeah, you got to pay. Sometimes they're like $400.
Oh,
yeah.
buddy.
Yeah. And I did not know that.
That's wild.
And it was dumb because I once had a comedy festival producer tell me that submission fees were a major profit stream.
100%.
And I knew that, and I chose to ignore that. And I went through and I spent thousands of dollars on that. And you can go online and you can make your own laurel that says the official selection that you see on movie posters.
Yeah.
You can make your own.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jared's greatest special ever.
Yeah.
Same value.
True. It's just a frame.
Yeah.
It's just a what's that graphic design website?
Like Canva?
Yeah, it's just a Canva template.
Yeah.
Basically.
That's like right now, I'm just finishing my book about this whole experience.
Yeah.
And I'm putting quotes, and I'm just saying the quote, unreadable, what a victory, whatever, BS, BS.
Sponsored
quoted,
by.
And it says, someone who's never read this.
Nice.
It's all the same.
Right, yeah,
right?
100%.
And so
it's all just packaging and marketing. Like, I got, did you hear about the Denver Spotlight Awards? Have you heard of those?
No, but tell me about them.
My friends who I work with, who I'm very grateful for they nominated me to be for like Denver Comedian of the Year for the Denver Spotlight Awards. And I was like, I was like in like this long list. It's like, because there's like, they're doing spotlights for like every category. Like it's like best DJ, best makeup artist, like all these things. And then you scroll all the way down. There's best comedian nominations. And they were like, they send me a DM. They're like, congratulations, you're in the top 20. Like, oh wow, okay. And then I'm like, okay, well, can I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it. Can I have someone receive the award on my behalf if I don't go? And they never responded. They tag me in things and send me emails and stuff, but they never respond to my DMs. And then my friends go, and like one of them won the award for best actress, which is great. And then I won the best comedian, but I didn't go, and I didn't get any like no new followers or like anything. Like I was spending the evening like it was my girlfriend's birthday weekend, so like we had dinner with her family and stuff, which was like a great way to spend my time, because going to that, I don't know if I would have gotten anything out of it. Like I don't know, it just seems like it seemed like like thankfully there was no like submission fee or anything. It was all just like pure voting and stuff, but they wanted you to like pay for your own ticket and stuff, and I'm like, what am I getting out of this? Like, why should I go to this? Like,
well, I didn't know I was in the presence of such greatness of the Denver's greatest comedian.
Better recognize everybody.
You did bring up a point. Yes, you got to pay for the awards event most times.
Yeah,
I will say that not all
no
of them
stage time.
No stage time.
Like,
not all of them are scams.
No, and I'm not saying they were a scam, but like it was just like one of those things where I'm like, I've never heard of this. I don't get like what the marketing was just weird. Like it was all just like photos of it looked like a Canva template of like, and I'm like, okay, but what is it? Like why should I care about this?
100%. There is the value is that I found of when you go to those events is being around a new community.
That's fair.
Of people who are going through almost identical to what you're going through.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're going for it. They did spend their own money.
Very
they
true.
have a concept they're trying to get money for, but like they spent their money to be there.
Yeah.
And while I went to one where it was a total sham, and I just went kind of to call the CEO of it out on it, which I did. But before I did that, I went around like kind of doing like rebel rousing of talking to people, be like, hey, this is what happened to me with this. Did this happen to you? And people are like, yeah, that did happen to me. Like, that's garbage.
It's kind of messed up, right?
Right? Yeah, like, yeah, it is. And just that, it's so stupid. That's how I operate. That was like so gratifying to me.
Yeah.
I didn't accomplish really anything. I flew to New York for a cocktail party to
Right.
call this person out
Right.
and accomplished nothing. I spent money.
Yeah.
Another stupid decision I made. But in the meantime, like just having that connection with people of like knowing that I wasn't the only person who got duped.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, you made friends. And
Yeah.
it felt cathartic, I imagine. Yeah.
It felt great because
Yeah.
it's like, I haven't totally lost my mind.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not being singled out. Like, you're not
Yeah.
you're not the only one who's gone through this. Like, yeah, I totally get that. Can you talk about more about like your book and like I'm imagining that the book is kind of like summarized maybe some of the lessons you've learned from some of these experiences and these decisions that you
Yeah.
made and like what you got out of them maybe.
Yeah. So the book is
I didn't know you were writing a book. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, buddy.
That's cool.
The book is called Will I Hate Myself?
Okay.
And the title comes from when we were in Los Angeles filming the four back to back everything, and this kind of series of events happened that in my mind nothing was going on according to how it was going to go on in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I was losing it. I was losing my mind. I was thinking I had just done the stupidest thing I've ever done in my life. I didn't sleep. I'm there on the second day, and the night before it went good. But in my mind at the time, it was a disaster.
Mm.
And I just all of a sudden, like, I broke down in a fit of giggles, and I was like, "Wow, I really went big on this one, didn't I?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Wow, at least I did that,"
Yeah.
you know. And then I thought, well, at least I'm not going to hate myself for being me and like going for something.
Yeah, totally.
Like, because that was the idea for Of the Comics. It had been sitting in my mind in my entire life. I had these grand ideas, and I didn't do anything to make them happen, including being a stand-up comedian for a long time. And I just hated myself. And it was just this relief of like, oh, at least I'm not going to hate myself. And all of a sudden, everything turned around. And I go, oh, that's maybe how I need to look at life moving forward is making a decision. Will I hate myself if I do it or if I don't? Because the self-hate machine inside of me is strong. and the self-criticism and loathing, oh, my goodness.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of artists, especially ones with ambition, like you and me, like it's easy to fall into that pit.
Yeah.
Especially if for like in my experience, like I have these ambitions and like I set myself up to do them, you know, like the podcast and like setting up recording the shows and stuff. So then I have a clear bar of did I do it or not?
Yeah.
And because it either sits there and I don't do anything with it or I get it done.
Yeah.
And that can be like that can wear you down after a while, like especially like I mean this podcast, like I've been like, all right, every Wednesday we're gonna do video, and then like I'll be like doing like a Tuesday night, like waiting for it to upload, like, and I'm just watching it like before I fall asleep. It's like midnight, and I'm like, I just gotta get this done.
Upload error message and lose your mind.
Oh my god, dude. Yeah, that happened a couple episodes ago where like I scrambled and like I got it. I like boom, publish, go to work. Pull up Spotify, and I usually don't like check the episodes after they're live, but for whatever reason I did, and it was all fucked up, and I was like, oh my god, like I have to take it down, I have to make a story post like, hey, it's not ready yet, sorry everybody, I'm a ding dong,
Right.
and then go home and redo
You feel
it.
stupid. You feel like, oh, I've just publicly demonstrated my lack of intelligence to everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, and nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Like a few people pay attention to what I do, and I appreciate that. But it's mostly for me. Like it's mostly like whether this podcast or anything I do takes off or not. Like yes, it gets hard, and it's hard to stay motivated to keep going. But it's much harder than just like what's that quote where it's like most men live a life of quiet desperation.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I forget who said it, but I've heard it
Jared
quoted
Chandler
a bunch of times.
here today.
Yeah. And like I think about that a lot because it's like, and then there's the other quote that I like a lot, which is like the Teddy Roosevelt quote, which is like credit belongs to the man in the arena, which is like a summarized version of that. So it's like I would rather do something and fail at it,
Right.
or have it suck
Yeah.
than just never do it. Cause that's when I'm on my worst behavior, is when I'm like living that quiet desperation life, and like, I'm not getting on stage. Like I'm not making the things that I wanted to make or that I said I was going to. And I just gotta keep reminding myself. And that's why I keep lists, and I continue to write down, write these sketches, even though it's been on my to-do list for weeks and weeks. Like I know I'm going to get to it, but like, cause I can't not,
Right. You can't not. That's
Yeah.
it. It's a difficult battle because we can live a life of safety, and we can have other people write our pages, and we can fall in line with that script.
Yeah. It's safe and comfortable.
Very safe, very comfortable, very mindless.
Yep.
But when we go out, we only have ourselves to blame.
Right. Yeah.
And we're good at it.
Uh-huh.
Oh, we're so good at it.
And everyone's like, why are you in such a bad mood? It's because of my own choices. Okay.
Because of the choices I've made, I have to face them.
Yeah. And I can't complain about it, because then people will say, well, that's your choice. And I'll say, yeah, I know.
Yeah, you're a spoiled little brat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
Yeah. What a place of privilege to be able to complain about, oh, I couldn't make something with my $1,000 camera, and like all this other, bullshit that I complain about. But
Yeah.
yeah.
And so it was identifying that. And I have found, I'll tell you, the first reason I decided to actually write the book was entirely driven by money at first, because of the comics. I had put it on YouTube, and then I aimed for monetization. And it says, hey, okay, at the time it was 3 million shorts views in 90 days, or 3,000 hours of watch time. So I grinded, and I would release 2 to 3 shorts a day. So I would just work nonstop. Like that's actually, I disappeared from the Denver comedy scene for a few months because I was just at home editing clips. And so then we had one of my favorite clips of Alonzo that went viral. And
Hell yeah.
I was like, wow. And it hit it said almost like 7 million, but it surpassed the requirements for monetization.
Okay.
So that nice button says your channel is eligible. Apply now. I hit it, get a response, denied. Okay, I was kind of expecting that, because I figured it was just a bot, and like on the surface, it would appear that it would not be good. But I had thoroughly gone through the YouTube policies and be like, I'm fairly certain this is actually falls in line with monetization. So I went through that whole process and applied again, denied again. But all it says is monetization denied due to violation of our monetization policies, but no specific reasons.
No. Yeah.
And they won't give you the contact information of the people who made that decision to tell you why.
Right. Just like figure it out.
Figure it out. So I was devastated. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I mean, here's the podcast, here's the bit. I spent over $100 and almost $30,000 on making all of it.
The whole thing.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so I could have had all that money for me to just live very, very comfortably doing stand-up on my own, which is what I've wanted all along.
Yeah. Yeah.
All along, that's what I've wanted. And instead, I went after this big idea. And it was very hard not to at that point in life, when the monetization seemed at the time to be, that's it, you're done. And the last straw, I'm a failure. I've not only I thought it, not only wasted this money, I've made something that no one cares about. I've blown 3 years of my life. I didn't pursue my own stand-up, and now I've also influenced my future resources to be able to do what I've wanted to do all along. I am a fuck up. I hate myself for this. And I went into a deep, dark hole. I was barely capable of doing anything. I would just sit on the couch. And then one day, I don't know what happened. But I thought, well, it's kind of a wild story. I made this money through the pandemic, through corporate Zoom shows. Got to work with these really cool people, and I really went for it.
Yeah.
And I love telling stories. Well, this is a pretty cool story.
Yeah.
So maybe I can write it and I'll sell it, right?
Sure.
But then I go, man, did you not just learn that you just made something and you had a financial goal and it destroyed you when it didn't sell? So why don't you just work on like going through the story and then you can say you did it. I wrote 2 books before. They were about sales, so I knew the process of how to do it. Yeah, maybe this will help. And I went through all, like, I had been taking, we can call it a journal of things that happened along the way. And I said, all right, I just started writing. I was like, wow, this actually feels really good. And so I would be on the couch not wanting to do anything. I was like, oh, I should just write a little bit. And I would start typing, and all of a sudden I just started to feel better. I'm like, oh, like, this is really healthy for me. Wow, this is it. And so, like, all of a sudden I, like, really enjoyed the process of writing it. So I just, all of a sudden it became this way to, like, dig myself out of, like, oh, this wasn't all for nothing.
Yeah.
I clearly have issues that I need to resolve and identify what I want and how to do things. So that book helped me do it. And I decided, oh, there's other people. I've read books, I've heard podcasts and stories from other people who have gone through tough times. And just reading those words, knowing that I'm not alone, just helped in a critical moment in my life.
Totally.
Oh, maybe I can just be super honest about this. So, yeah, I talk about the times where I wanted to end it all. And it's, spoiler alert, it talks about a time where I did a lot of fuck-ups, and I was debating taking a box full of sleeping pills and just ending everything, and how my mind can get to such a dark place where I want to end everything. I want to just quit the easiest way possible. And I've realized that's just how I'm feeling. That's happened multiple times. That will pass.
Yeah.
For me, I'm not saying this is for everybody. I'm not an expert. There's nothing on it.
Right.
For me, I've found avenues, stand-up, writing, creating, that have helped me move past really dark times.
Yeah.
I can dive into writing, or even if I'm editing a clip from a show where I had something new that went well.
Yeah.
That all of a sudden just takes me out of that space.
Yeah, isn't it interesting?
Yeah.
You can be just so down on yourself, and then all you need is that one little gust of wind to get some wind back in your sails a little bit.
Yeah.
And now you're back in the saddle.
Back in the saddle.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, well, here's a story. Autobiographies, I enjoy them, but what I don't like is how many times they say, I did this, I did that, and then I did this. So I thought, well, what if I just write about myself and what I did as a character called the author? And so to look at myself in a third-person perspective.
I see. Yeah, so you're watching yourself from a bird's eye view, like the author makes this choice.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, I like that, yeah.
And then how can I interweave what I'm thinking and feeling about this process while I'm doing it, while I did it, and while I'm doing it now? Because now this is an entirely new creative endeavor.
Yeah.
And it does, like, there are days where I look at what I wrote on a Monday and it's amazing, and I look at it on the following Tuesday and it's garbage.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that's kind of something to be addressed. So what if I could weave these 2 stories together that are ultimately about me and what I've gone through together? So it's like, I'm not presenting hey, you should follow everything I did.
Right.
Like, hey, here's how dark things got for me.
Right.
And here's the successes that I had early on.
Right.
And then look at, I left corporate, started at square one with comedy. I found an avenue that made money, that moved me ahead. But ultimately, I got back to square one 7 years later, where I am still out at 42 at open mics to piece together things. I'm like, because all the time I spent not working on what I really wanted.
But you had to do that, though.
I had to do it.
To come back to where you're at now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's the spoiler alert. That's like just finding self-acceptance in this process of writing the book. And yes, it is going to be my merch. I don't plan to make any money off of it.
No.
But I know it's my story, and now my next step is, how do I make this story funny on stage?
Yeah, totally.
This is really unique.
Absolutely.
I have it. How do I do that?
Yeah.
And then it helped me identify, what am I good at? What did I learn from all these great comedians?
Absolutely.
Which brings us back to the aisle at Best Buy.
Yeah.
I think this will work.
Yeah.
Oh, here's something new and creative that with how my brain works.
Yeah.
I can try, and I can learn.
Sparks joy.
Yeah. I learned that I can learn. What a
Yes.
dumb thing to say.
Yeah. Wait, I'm not stuck.
Yeah, I'm not.
It doesn't have to be this way forever.
I'm not entirely stupid.
Yeah. I can grow. I can change. Yeah.
So it was, and I realized a lot of things about my future. So when you asked about the question of how does it relate with people in my personal life of, I'm all in on this.
Uh-huh.
And I'm fine with that because I know that I'm going to continue to meet other people who are all in and have dedicated their lives, and I will form new communities. I'm not burning the communities I had.
Right.
I just recognize that the roles they play in my life are different now.
Yeah.
Because of the choices I've made and the choices that they've made, which I'm not criticizing anyone.
No. I feel like that's just kind of how life goes. You
Yeah.
know, it's just
Yeah.
kind of hard.
Yeah.
Because like it's just hard to accept change sometimes, especially when it's
really
like it's hard to form new relationships when you're still letting go of the old ones. I think.
Change reminds us of death,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly. Yeah, which sucks because it's like when you find a good thing, like you just want to hold on to it for as long as you can.
Yeah.
And then when things change and it's kind of not going that way,
Yeah.
then it's like. Fuck, like, yeah, like, man, I'm gonna die.
I'm gonna die, and I didn't do anything. And I did it all wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. Will I be remembered, you know?
Yes.
And yeah, like, and I feel like then, like, when the change happens and you're in these new environments, new communities, new people, it's hard to kind of like accept that and like let it be your life.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm at my current job right now, and I've had it for a number of years, and even that within it has changed. And it's hard for me to accept like new relationships, like with the job, or like new, like, and like even now, like as I get more mature in the comedy scene, it's harder for me to like, I get now why all those top dogs when I was a little boy kind of like ignored me a little bit, because like they already made their friends. Like they know this is their crew. Like I'm not going to like it's hard to like invest time in new people and get to know them, because it's like I've seen so many people come and go who I thought were going to be around forever, and now they're not. And like that's just hard to accept, I think, sometimes. But I don't think it's bad. I think I think that's just the nature of this game we're playing.
100%. Yeah, it's wild, and this especially this path with stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
And so now that I'm like, I'll rotate between like really big shows and an open mic.
Totally.
Yeah. And I'm grateful for all the experience I've had, because I've learned, I can Frankenstein and act together at an open mic.
Yeah.
I learned to have the confidence and like from all the previous experiences where, if I go, sometimes I just need to get it out at an open mic. And then once I get it out, I just look at people's faces and be like, I know where I need to adjust.
Mm-hmm.
And if I just have 2 laughs, that's what I'm taking to the next night's big show.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, it matters. It all matters. And like we have this beautiful thing. I'm going to call open mics beautiful, because we can try, we can try ideas right away.
It's so true.
And there's, certainly there's a polluted cloud of toxicity and that exists that you can easily get wrapped into and defeat. And, fuck, man, all the time I'm like, what am I doing here right now? This is where I'm at in my life. And I see my friends with their houses and cars and everything and comfort and vacations. And I thought about like, I work hard to stay in the life I want instead of working hard to escape the life I'm in. Right. So it's like I was guilty of that when I was in corporate.
Very different framing mindset.
Yeah. And when I was in that corporate world, I worked so hard to just escape that all the time. And now I'm working so hard to stay in this life. Yeah. As a comedian.
That's so interesting. I listened to a lot of like, mindset podcasts and like motivation stuff, and a theme that comes up a lot is like, what like people, there's been examples of like people bringing someone on stage and being like, all right, like in relationships or partnerships, they'll be like, tell me what you want in a partner. And they'll list like the things they don't want. They know those like really easily. Yeah. But then when you ask them what they do want, they're like, like they haven't thought about it. Right. So I like that shift of like, no, I'm not trying to escape this. I'm trying to go for the thing that I want. Yeah. That's a very different way of looking at your current life. And I feel like that's more motivating and give you the juice rather than like, because it takes time to get there,
Yeah.
and you got to keep showing up to the life and if you're trying to escape from it, then it's like, it's demoralizing. You're just like, another day. Like, yeah. But going for the thing you do want, that's a different idea. Like, that's like, I'm motivated to like put my work into the thing that I'm trying to get away from them, but also because I know it will help me get to the place I'm trying to go.
That's it. You have to remember that. All the moments matter. And there will be moments that seemingly make no sense at all, and you won't, I don't know what I'm going to do with this.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you'll be in that moment 2 years from that time and go, oh, that's what that's for.
Yeah, it all comes together. It all clicks.
Yeah.
Man, you got a lot of insights, man. I feel like you've done a lot of stuff. Yeah. It seems like you've had some success in the online space. What's something like we've talked a lot about various successes and failures, and we've kind of in the podcast is about stretching beyond your comfort zone, which I feel like we've talked a lot about that. But is there anything more specific that you can point to? Maybe something recently that was just tangible, like time you stretch out of your comfort zone and like you learned from it. It doesn't have to be like work either. It can be like, relationships and like finance. Sounds like it's a big theme for us.
Right. Oh, wow. That's good. I'm going to need to think. So a time where I really went outside my comfort zone to learn something new.
Yeah.
I'll start with just a little bit more expansion on the soundboard.
Okay.
To open up my mind for other things.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm not a sound guy. I had to really dive into that. And
what's that first feeling like when you're like starting something new and you're like,
okay,
I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing?
I got it right now. Yeah, I got the answer. I'm doing it right now that we haven't talked about.
Okay.
I really enjoy electronic music. I love all kinds of music.
Okay.
But I saw the Deadmau5 masterclass.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Okay. I've done a handful of master classes.
And
I haven't done the Deadmau5 one though.
I didn't appreciate electronic music at all until I saw that.
Really?
And then
what made you choose it?
Different.
You're just like, this is different. I don't know what this is about.
Something different.
Yeah.
And then I realized, these people have access to every recorded sound ever and can put it all together with a knowledge of music in their fashion. And what is music? It's just sound.
Mm-hmm.
It's sound put together through someone's mind, right? So like at the time I like to think of, like the guitar was at the time technology.
Yeah.
And it's like, and you'd see someone, that person, all they do is just hit a string. And now it's a button.
Yeah.
So it's the same. And I thought, wow, that's really fascinating that they have access to that and how they can do it. And it's not just, I did think, they're just pressing a button.
Yeah.
It's not just pressing a button.
No.
It's so much more.
Yeah.
So I have slowly been learning how to play the piano over the past couple of years with a lot of efforts, and then I would stop. And now I'm like, okay, this is it. This is something I want to incorporate in my act. I want to be the person who can actually play just a little melody. I think it's cool. It's challenging. It's hard. I like electronic music. I like being on stage telling stories. My ultimate goal is to live in the mountains and have a residency where people come see me and they can come see a show on a Friday night and a Saturday night, and it's going to be 2 different shows. So because of everything I've gone through, I realized, I have that goal. How can I make that? Stand up. I don't want to be a person that just travels around and does the same hour for a year and then films a special. And I want something different as much as possible.
Okay.
I've recognized I need a structure. So I've been working on structured shows that can be repeated and can be filled in with different elements of everything I can do and things that I'm not yet able to do. I like looping.
Yeah.
You asked earlier about, are you working with looping?
Yeah.
So the Rodecaster Duo board does have the ability where I can record the audience They don't know I'm recording them, and I can play it back later.
Uh-huh.
Right now, it's just like a simple press, but not a full-on looping machine. I'm just starting to. I've given it a test, a few runs, but I'm starting to get more comfortable with the board. I'm treating it like an instrument, of like where I can look at you and not look at what I'm pressing.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And so I'm like, I'm finally comfortable with that, where I can like, okay, now I can work on the recording element, and how do I integrate it into music?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, kind of what DJs do.
Yeah.
So I've started to, what's the process look like? YouTube. How to DJ.
Yeah.
Okay. Master classes.
Totally.
And watching the master classes from the DJs and just starting to learn the terminology.
Yeah.
From learning how to edit Premiere, I learned the importance of understanding the language.
Right.
What a concept through the history of time.
Yeah,
To
I
understand
know. Yeah,
something, learn
true.
the language.
Yeah.
So just like watching these, okay, there's a thing called a DAW, a digital audio workspace.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
You watch tutorial videos, you're going to hear DAW all the time. If you don't know what that is, you're going to be lost.
What is that?
Yeah. So I'm starting to be like, okay, how to DJ? Just like there's a lot of tutorials, like simple things. What equipment do I use?
Yeah.
I'm taught when I'm at a show, any kind of show, and there's somebody who has a piece of equipment that I don't know what it is, I go and ask them about it.
Yeah, totally. Same.
Yeah.
Oh,
What
yeah.
is that? How do you use that?
Yeah, what you got there?
Yeah. What's got there?
What you got there, guy? Huh?
Yeah. Hey, guy.
You got one of these, huh? Wow. Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to figure out, and I don't know how that's all going to be put together. I just know that it can be put together.
Yeah.
And so
You know it's possible.
yeah. So I'm finishing up, like, essentially, I'm not going to say mastering my board, but I'm getting to a spot where it's competent.
Yes.
And then the next step is to bring in another piece of equipment. And I don't know if that's a looper or an auto tune or a digital audio workspace on an iPad. There's this guy on Instagram I found who's basically doing what I'm doing, but with music. Like, I have my board I carry around. He has a board on the streets of New York, and he does
Whoa.
DJing and has people sing along. He's
Cool.
got his little piano and all the equipment right there on a backpack with speakers.
Dang.
Yeah, it's like that old image of the one-man band.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Reggie Watts.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
He's great with that. Man.
Starting to research who are comedians that already do this.
Yeah,
right?
totally.
So I watch Morgan Jay, I watch Reggie Watts, Bo Burnham,
Yup.
and then I'm okay. Well, who are the comedians that do a lot of crowd work? I've watched. Yeah, obviously right now Matt Rife is really popular.
Nate Jackson.
Nate Jackson. I got to watch all these performers do it in person. I mean, last night I was at Morgan Jay's show, which was another like
Oh,
visualization
yeah. So he was at the Paramount.
at the Paramount.
Oh, sick. You
I
were
got-
backstage?
Yeah, it was sweet.
Ooh.
It was so cool. Like, there I am
Man.
at like my dream venue, hanging out, and we were just talking about the importance of visualization of things that you can actually achieve. So I
Yes.
looked in that room and I was like, oh, he stepped out for a minute. I was like, I'm going to visualize this is my show.
Yeah.
This is where I want to be. He had Chipotle delivered, and I love Chipotle. I was like, that makes the visualization a lot easier.
Yeah.
and then I watched him, and the first, let's just say 25 minutes, he's running all around the audience. It's in the Paramount Theater. He goes up to the
huge.
balcony.
Yeah.
He's got a camera guy there. They have a screen on stage.
Yeah.
He's bridged the gap. He's integrated technology in a mobile fashion that makes it doable with a small crew.
Yeah.
He's changing how things are done.
Mm-hmm.
And the crowd was electric. They loved it. And it was so entertaining.
Yeah.
So funny. He had, let's say there's 1,800 people there.
Sure.
Everyone was on board.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone was on board. It was hilarious. And it was 25 minutes of, yes, he has a structure that, you can tell. He's thought it out. He's genius. He knows what to do. He's been doing it for 18 years.
Yep.
And he's figured out how to make it with, like, so he can highlight himself. And it's like when he came on stage, people went nuts.
Yeah.
And
It's all kind of come together for him. I've listened to him on a couple of podcasts and like he hearing about his journey a little bit and like how he's gone through similar like peaks and valleys. Like he was a stand-up, but then he had guitar, he brought the guitar a little bit, and then out of the pandemic came the looper and the stuff he does now. But then even the camera was another evolution,
Yep.
and then the clips, and then like everything all kind of like, but like it looked like all along the way, none of those things were paying off on their own until all of a sudden, like everything came together at the perfect moment to where he's just exploding.
He did it, and he did it all. He figured it all out. I mean,
yeah.
and he works incredibly hard. He takes
does.
care of himself.
He does.
And so it's like he's incredibly, it's motivating. I feel honored that I got to work with him. He was on 2 episodes of the comics. And so there I was last night, and I was just like, oh, wow, like this is, I was like
This
studying
could be for me.
Yeah. Like this, okay, I'm not going to have a guitar like him. I'm going to do different style with what I imagine my show to be.
Yeah.
And then, okay, so I have this idea. And now I'm Frankensteining. It's my favorite term of the day.
Yeah, I like it.
Of this at open mics. I don't know. I think you were at Denver Comedy Underground open mic when I started recapping everybody's.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've recognized that's how my mind works. I can remember.
You're good
things.
at it. Yeah.
Thanks. And it's just like, oh, that's just me. And so I'm like, oh, then this has value.
Yeah.
And it's a way for me to be at open mics. And to be stimulated,
yeah,
and engaged,
yeah.
Instead
that's fair. Yeah, that's a good note, because it's very easy to check out at open mics or to be like, oh God, like this again. Like
I hate myself.
Yeah, and to hate yourself too. Yeah. Do you know John Rudnitsky?
No.
He's he came and did Stella's in January, and he's a SNL guy. I can tell he's a theater guy because of his performing style. And he would be good to check out because like he does throughout his act, he had 3 musical cues that he needed us to load for him, where he would do an entire like routine to Dirty Dancing, but it's like I don't want to give it away, but he's doing like a whole like scene with no words just to the song, but you're following along a whole story while he's doing it. And then he does a lot of crowd work, and then at the end he does a recap kind of similar where he goes, let's go back and do a journey of everything that we've learned tonight. And he improvs like charades, like he points at a guy, and it's kind of like like a 80s movie, like where you're all just like everything we've learned, and he'll do to the couple that he was saying like, oh, they're gonna smash tonight or whatever, and then everybody laughs and he like gives them a thumbs up. He goes to the next person and he remembers everything he learned from these people throughout the show, and I was blown away by it.
I will check it out. And then now I'm gonna give up on everything I've thought about.
No,
but it's
what you do is very different, but like But that just kind of made me think of that. It was like, and it's very fun to watch.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you did, because also then I have found that it's okay to talk about what you're doing with people.
Yeah.
Because especially within the new communities you have of creation with us, with the comedy, because some people will be like, hey, have you seen this?
Yeah.
And they're not saying it out of a place of, oh, I need to say something in the conversation.
No.
They're saying it out of a place of, this might have value for you.
Yes.
We're on the same path.
Yes. Exactly.
Hey, here's something that I think might help you.
Yeah, I think it would be inspiring for you, honestly, because it was inspiring for me.
I'm super excited to check it out.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm super excited too. Yeah. And so that's it. So, yeah, then to get back to your question, how do I do it? Oh, I just need to talk to people. I need to do the research, right? If I had done the research and not learned that and had learned that these festivals were mostly scams, oh man, that would have been a different picture, you know?
Yeah,
and
totally.
All these bad decisions I made where I was guilty of just jumping right in and like not doing all the research, and that's on me.
Sometimes that's good though, to like just jump in.
Agreed.
You know, and just like get fed to the wolves, because trial by fire type of thing, because that sometimes will just like get the wheels turning and like be like, okay, well, I clearly don't have this figured out yet. And then like it'll show you your blind spots and like be able and it's because like you can spend forever researching and planning and hyping yourself up, and then if you're not actually eventually you just gotta go. You just gotta jump.
Go. Yep.
Yeah, totally. And you'll figure stuff out along the
You'll
way.
figure it out.
Yeah.
And so, getting outside the comfort zone, this lesson, the book, everything, learning new things. I'm okay with looking stupid. That's fine, right?
That's a skill. Yeah. I mean, man, you've definitely like gone through.
Oh, you've definitely done it, Pat.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I won't sugarcoat it, Pat. You look real dumb up there sometimes.
Yeah. You're right.
But hey. As long as you're
Yeah.
as long as you're learning and having fun up there,
Yeah.
like it makes me happy.
Yeah.
So
That's it. I'm in my own world.
yeah, that's great.
I look at the faces
and you're
and the
getting
reactions.
and like you clearly have like a talent for these types of things, and like it's niche, but like that's what makes it you, and you're gonna put it all together, and I'm excited to see it. So
Thanks, buddy.
yeah, dude.
I appreciate
I
that.
got a couple of quick ones for you, and then we'll
Okay.
get you out of here. Do you have a favorite road snack?
Favorite road snack?
Yeah, like what if you're going on a trip?
Oh man, I love I love the pistachios that have like the spicy spices on it.
Yeah.
They're the shelled ones.
Yeah.
I don't like shelling them, but they come there. The hot and spicy.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I love those.
Oh
I'll
yeah,
hammer
those are good.
down.
Yeah,
yeah,
they're spicy and they're salty.
yeah. So
they're
and then
good.
I'll get that. And I'll be like, I want some more, and I'll do it again. And then
Yeah.
I'll pair it with some milk.
Oh wow.
Oh, buddy, I love milk.
Oh snap!
Yeah,
you're a big milk guy.
Big
yeah.
milk, clearly. You know?
yeah. You're a milk boy. How else are you gonna grow this big, dude?
I'm still growing.
yeah. Do you have a favorite time of day?
Favorite time of day? Yeah, I love the early morning.
You're an early morning guy, huh?
I can be, and
Yeah.
not always.
Sure.
Sometimes I won't, but I just. How about this? Better way of saying it. I love the time of day when everyone else is asleep.
Mm-hmm.
I do like the morning when the sun starts to come up
Oh, yeah.
slightly, and it's just like peaceful. I like being outside.
Yeah.
That's my favorite. Outside,
Quiet.
early,
Mhm.
just knowing other people aren't doing anything
Yeah, that's nice.
makes me feel
If
a lot
I-
better about myself.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. That's a lot. It's a good confidence boost. You're like, damn, I did it. Like,
Yeah.
if I can get there, I like that time of day. But it's hard.
Yeah.
It's real tough. Sometimes, once in a blue moon, I'll have like a spur of motivation, and I'll just wake up and be like, I'm gonna do it. Like I'm gonna do it today, and I just get up early, and then I'll usually need a nap. Like,
Oh, sure, absolutely. If I get a nap in before noon, it's a good
oh
day.
yeah,
Oh, buddy.
that's nice.
Sometimes a double nap. Oh, yeah.
Man,
Pretty
living the
crazy.
dream.
Throw some milk and pistachios in there,
Yeah.
buddy. Oh, man.
It's a good Saturday, man. Hell yeah. Do you have a favorite soup?
Favorite soup, French onion.
French onion. Okay. Hell yeah.
Something about that cheese in there. man,
Yeah.
and then it's just a nice, and honestly, red robin French onion soup.
Oh snap!
Oh, yeah.
Red Robin.
Red robin.
Shit. I didn't know Red Robin could fuck with soup like that.
Oh, red robin, get the boneless wings and get just a classic
Ooh.
burger. That's a meal.
Damn.
This body didn't grow itself, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm big on the freckled lemonade at Red Robin. It's my favorite. It's my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The strawberries?
Mhm.
Oh.
Yeah, with the strawberry chunks in there. Yeah.
Yeah,
You
nice.
slurp it up through the straw.
You
Yeah.
ever follow up with the chocolate milkshake?
Oh, I don't think I've gotten one from Red Robin in a while.
Okay.
But the diner style restaurants that they all do milkshakes really
Yeah.
good because they give you the cold
when
cup.
you get the extra on the side.
Yeah.
Oh, it feels so good.
Good stuff. Hell yeah. Well, thanks, Pat.
Yeah, buddy.
Thanks for being here, man.
Absolutely.
I'm excited to read the book and see all you're gonna do, man.
Yeah, it'll be Will I Hate Myself by Pat Truer, available on Amazon April 1st. And you can,
Nice. That's coming up quick.
Yep. Follow me on Instagram at RealFunnyPat for further announcements.
Beautiful.
All
Love
right,
it.
buddy.
Thanks, Pat.
Yeah, man.
Stretch yourself, stretch yourself, stretch yourself.